I just...
All right, don't look at this unless you've done your house drawing already. Here's what I got though. This would be the backyard, this would be the front yard. But you had the steps right here, then you came into this entrance. There was the living room. I remember a sectional being here with the TV right there. This is the kitchen with the table in it and countertop right there. This is like the little wall in between. Then you see this room. I'm just calling it the rotating room because we didn't know what was going on in there all the time. Then you had the mud room right here with the back steps. Then my room for most of the part with my bed in the corner. Then the girls' room with their bed over there. This was the bathroom, and then mom and dad's bedroom was down at the end of the house with their bed and their TV at the end of the bed. And then you kind of like went around this corner and there's their bathroom, and I think there was a closet like right in there. But that is what I remember of the house in the woods. I'm interested to see what you guys have.
Wow, that is very detailed. Mine was somewhat less detailed, but here we go. So yeah, there was the stairway at the front, but the stairs kind of went off both sides. They pointed toward the tree fort, and they also pointed toward the side. And I remember this because Daddy had a lot of geometry and math and mitering to cut those stairs to get them to fit right, and he did a fabulous job. Then yes, you came in through the front door, and there was the dining room. This little wall right here was not merely a wall, but it housed the pantry, so it was more of a square thing. And then there was the living room, and of course I did not do this to scale, but in the corner we had the wood stove here, and then the sectional couch that we got from the camps was kind of like more around this area. There was the TV here. This is the school room and the Kenzie room. Again, the bedrooms, I don't recall how the doors went, but I knew there were 2 bedrooms right there. And again, the mud room, and that went outside to some stairs into the front yard. And then there was the bathroom, and then yeah, the master bedroom and the master bathroom. And so I think we're pretty close, my dude. I would also like to point out that I indicated to the blue fort. Just saying. I remember stuff.
Ah, you're right. I totally forgot about the fireplace right there. Yeah, that makes more sense. And that makes more sense that there was a pantry right there. And I'm pretty sure this had that weird angled notch right there too on this room. And then there was a window there, if I remember correctly. And then, did your bedroom really take up as much as was in your drawing in the bathroom? Wasn't there like a kind of like an L shape right here? And then the bathroom was tucked around there? With like a closet maybe on this side? Can't remember. But yeah, I had the steps facing this way instead of that way. But good job on the blue fort. Heck yes. And there was a swing set right here. And right here was the famous Penny incident where we sprayed water in Mackenzie's poor little eyes, and she cried. Poor Mackenzie. And then the zip line back here. Zip.
Yeah, I ran out of space on mine to draw the tree fort and the zip line and also the creek and the septic tank, but you know, they're all back there in the backyard. Then off to one side, like you know, over there was one of Grandpa's, well, that was the pump house, and then back here on the way to the backyard and the tree on the other side of the tree fort, there was Grandpa's shed that he dragged over here for us to use.
Okay, here is my layout. I know that there was a porch, but I recall steps being more towards the front. Then you went in the front door and there was the living room with the TV over here. We'd be watching a Ramblin' Rod show. Dining room was here where I ate my first artichoke. This is where the pantry was. It was sort of a square thing, and there was like, I think, counter space here, but you know, kitchen stuff all around. But this pantry here, remember one time Mom yelled at me in that pantry, but it also had art that she did of us on the front door where we had like done some like finger painting, and then she cut it into the shape of a boy and a girl. There was a bedroom here, and it had 2 doors which opened up, and I actually lived in that bedroom briefly. And I remember one time being like, Blake, I need you to help me. And he came running in, and I was like, I'm gonna rearrange my room. And he was like, okay. And then I like picked up this like baby doll cradle and like moved it further down the wall. And I was like, okay, I'm done. And he was like, okay, great. This is the laundry room, mudroom. There's a little door outside there. And that's where Mom would like hose us down after we played in the mud pile in the front yard, which I guess would have been like there. Then there was a bathroom where Mom painted mermaids. I couldn't remember if there was like 1 or 2 bedrooms over here, but I do remember Mackenzie coloring everything with markers somewhere in this area. Mom and Dad's room was here. Right about here is where I was playing checkers with Dad and he cheated. And this was just sort of like a nebulous area where who knows what happened. Blue Fort's that way and Treehouse is that way. Zip line's over there. Yeah.
Okay, I love that you mentioned the Blue Fort. So did I. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Also, I wanted to just reminisce. I have a core memory from this laundry room. I was in there, the Calhouns were over, and for some reason, Aaron was in the laundry room, and I was like, do you want a peanut? And he was like, sure, and I handed him a peanut, and it was like still in the shell, and he put the whole thing in his mouth and started chewing it. And I said, no, you have to take it out of the shell. But then he just stared at me and kept chewing it.
Yeah, I kind of think that's a memory you really need to share with Jesse and Aaron and Katie and Dave and Carl. I think that's pretty funny. And you know what? You guys need to extend some grace to Mackenzie when she sends in her plan, because she was littler than anybody. I mean, we left that house when she was 4. So all of her memories are going to be as a 2 and 3 and partially 4-year-old.
All right, y'all, I'm ready. And yes, as Mother said, show me some fucking grace, because I don't remember anything. Okay, so that's the front door. Also, I did it this way. I remember there being the couch and the TV, and I think there was like some like bookshelves or something back here. For some reason I remember there being like a little like counter where we would like sit at. Maybe we would more like sit like at the end over here. I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking drunk. I thought that also this went this way. Maybe it did not. I do remember the table being there. And sorry, I didn't mean to end that, but I don't know how the kitchen ends, but I assume it ends. I'm not really sure. I just don't remember. I just assume surely the kitchen must stop. I do remember the hallway, and I do remember there being 2 rooms. I thought this one was my room, because I distinctly remember like going into my room, or it was probably Scout and I's room, and I remember going in and Mom being like, if you don't pick up your shit, I'm gonna throw it in trash bags. And I specifically remember like looking into my room, and she had like just bought me like a dollhouse thing, a lot of shit, like a Beauty and the Beast one, and I was like really, really sad because I didn't want her to throw it away, but then I didn't pick it up, so it did get thrown away. I don't remember whose room that was, and then I don't remember anything. This is all I remember. Everything else is just a mystery existence to me. I just assumed that surely we had bathrooms, and surely there were other bedrooms and other places and stuff like that, but I don't remember.
Okay, I love that so much, Kenzie, because you know you were just little, and you know there was a lot going on, and that's really cute.
Yeah, there was a lot going on inside my little pea brain, my little 4-year-old pea brain. To be fair, I have also been able to, I feel like piece together a little bit of stuff as well from my memory, and then also from like home movies and stuff.
Oh, sorry. Well, you should go back and look at the other videos that were posted previously, and that will probably help fill in the gaps for you.
Yes, I have watched all of them. Very much like, oh, there was a pantry, oh, and a fireplace, and a bathroom, and a mudroom. Oh, I have no recollection of Mom and Dad having a room, but again, surely they must have. I was so small though, I didn't go in there on my own free will, so I wouldn't know.
I love it. And I assume this is where the kitchen... I don't really know where the kitchen ends, but I assume it ends. No, it is the eternal kitchen.
That's funny. Kenz, you remember us spraying you in the head?
I remember you spraying me in the head, Blake. do also remember the dirt pile, actually. Core memory.
The dirt pile was pretty special. But there was also out toward the front of our driveway where it hooked into Rory Court. There was also, to the right of that, this really funky pond that would show up in the spring and you kids would climb around in it. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember the frog pond. I remember going out there and catching frogs with Davy Joel. I remember being a giant pond. I'm sure if I went back there, I had to look at it. I'm sure it was a lot smaller than I remembered, but yeah, I remember that pond, the frog pond. Me and Aaron and David would actually go out there. I remember David catching a fat bullfrog out there. Maybe it was just a big fat bullfrog because we were little kids and it was a normal frog. I seem to remember David smashing a frog. I know that sounds more like an Adam Crosby thing, but I remember David Joel killing frogs too, which bothered me.
Okay, no, that is definitely an Adam Crosby thing. He definitely was killing frogs with a hammer, and then he was walking down the street on DeBarco when you kids were being babysat by Robin, and he would be walking down the street and he'd take this hammer and he'd just like throw it way up in the air, and other people would be walking down the sidewalk, and had it come down on them, he could have killed them. Adam was a crazy child. Are you sure it was David Joel? Because I kind of feel strongly that if Aaron was there, that probably really would have upset him as well, because he was always a very animal-friendly child.
No, now that I think about it, I think it was David and Aaron. Maybe even me. Maybe I got peer pressured into killing frogs. I can't remember. But, yeah, I have a distinct memory of being out by the front of the driveway. If you're facing out away from the house, to the right, there's a little ditch, and being down in there and them killing frogs. Or maybe it was just David. Someone was murdering our green friends.
Yeah, well, dang. I know that's what little boys do, but I could definitely see how. No judgment here. You are all little boys, how you might have gone along with it. I mean, I remember David Vahey, Fonzarelli, talking about how the Crew Boys one time drowned a mouse in the toilet bowl at Trout Creek, and it was just a gruesome story, and I'm like, seriously? You're effing proud of that, you dumbass? Yikes.
Oh, I can tell you worse stories than drowning a mouse. That sounds humane compared to some of the stuff seen on at camp. Culprit number one, by the way, was Adam Crosby. I watched him jump on a mouse and squirt its intestines out its butthole like 20 feet.
I didn't send you the short story that I wrote about that pond at the front of the house, but remind me to do that sometime, because I had a core memory from that pond. But also, yeah, like the animal cruelty that happened at camp was the worst. Also, do you remember that one time, Blake, when Mom ran out into the yard and grabbed me and you off of the grass and ran and threw us into that shed that was red and white and held us there in the dark because Dad was getting attacked by hornets? Because core memory.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. Daddy was getting attacked by hornets and I didn't know where to hide you. And that was my thing. I didn't want anybody to have an allergic sting or anything like that. Also, yeah, camp stories. I do not need to hear any of those cruelty to animals or other campers because I can't take it. I know you think it's interesting and funny, but to me it's abhorrent and I don't even want to know.
Hey Blake, I just want to say that your hair is really long and looks really luscious and beautiful, and I'm proud of you. And whatever product you're using looks great.
Yeah, Mom, I am at that age also where I just like can't deal with the animal cruelty stories at all. It just like makes me physically sick.
Oh, I watched John Inskeep jump on a camper one time so hard his intestines squirted 20 feet out of his butthole. But yeah, Scout, I do remember that shed and that hornet incident too. It was terrifying. I think Dad had been using the chainsaw that day or something, or he was mowing the lawn and the hornet started racing after him, attacking him. I also have while I was talking about core memories of being outside that shed. This is a really weird link, but talking to you, Scout, or maybe it was David Joel, about how crazy it would be to find a blank check, because then you could just write $1 million on it, and then you could have a big $1 million check. And then like thinking about like, oh, our moms have checkbooks and they have empty checks, so we could write ourselves $1 million. I don't know why I had that memory so closely linked with that shed. It just proves you how deep core memories go, though. And thank you, Ken.
That definitely would have happened with David Joel and not with me. But here's a memory that I have. Blake, there was a time where you, me, and Dad were camping out in the treehouse, that dope treehouse, and you had sent me down for more hot water bottles, and I went down there and I went into the house to go ask Mom for a hot water bottle, and she was in there and she was watching The Dark Crystal, and she was like, oh, this movie's so great, you have to watch it. And then I like stood there holding a hot water bottle for a long time watching The Dark Crystal with Mom, and then came back, put the hot water bottles in the bucket, and you guys like pulled them up, and then I went back into the house and watched some more of The Dark Crystal. I don't think that I slept in the treehouse at all.
Scott, I'm interested to know if you remember the heads coming over. CJ and Amber and Rachel and the other little guy, I think his name was Todd or something, and playing with them, because I remember me and CJ sleeping in the treehouse too. I actually have a memory of me and CJ in the treehouse camping out there at night, and the only thing we had for entertainment was a dictionary. And I remember we were reading through it and we found the word peninsula. And we thought it was a dirty word, and so we were just so taken with that. But I remember you and like, I can't remember if you were friends with Amber or the little one, and you guys running around, because I remember they had twins, but I seem to remember them coming out there semi-often and doing stuff with them. Kenzie, if you have any memories of these either, but I think at the time you were more into fighting with what is this small camp girl's name? Emily, Becky, not Becky, Emily. It must have been Emily Camp. Yeah, you and Emily Camp getting Powerpuff Girls power punched. Yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. I digress.
Okay, Todd, seriously, it was Riley. Riley and Rachel Head were the twins. They were the little twins. I like Todd. That's really good. Todd Head. I don't think so. And yeah, Ken's and Emily, they were playing Powerpuff Girls, and that's how they play. And Emily Mackenzie just cold cocked Emily upside the head and knocked her to the ground. It was funny, but you know, it was what it was. Hey, Kenz, you remember that time you locked us all out of the house?
Okay, Riley and Rachel were in my class, and I was friends with them, and actually, like, Rachel, like, contacted me on social media, like, a few years ago and was like, hey, girl, how you doing? I do remember when Ken's locked us out of the house and then was like, just kidding, as if that would unlock the door. But a memory that I want to share before I forget is, like, every day, be waking up and stuff, and Dad would be in the living room, And he would go, Scout, Scout, there's horses at the end of our driveway. And I would run and I would leap onto the couch and I would look out the window and there were never horses there. And Dad would be like, oh, they just left. And every single day I ran out there and leapt onto the couch and looked for horses at the end of our driveway. And then one day someone's horses got out. And there were horses at the end of our driveway. And Dad was like, Scout, Scout, there's horses at the end of our driveway. And it was the one day I was like, no, I'm 3 now, or 4, and I'm not an idiot. There's not horses at the end of our driveway. And he's like, no, seriously, look. And there were horses at the end of our driveway. And I was like, whoa.
Was this when we were in the trailer on Grandpa's property, or when we were at the house in the woods?
House in the woods, of course. Because we had that, long driveway, which I realize now isn't long. But, yeah.
Actually, it still was pretty long. But, yeah, so you would have been 5 between 5 and 6. Because you would have been kindergarten age when we lived there.
Yeah, I remember doing kindergarten in that house at Damascus Deep Creek, but then I started first grade in Mrs. Johnson's class in Sisters. We would have moved to Sisters when I was 6, because then I turned 7 that fall.
Yeah, you did kindergarten at Damascus Deep Creek with Mrs. Breer, and then your first grade was at with Mrs. Johnson. And, yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's what I just said. But how many years did we live in the house in the woods?
Not many. We moved in, gosh, we got the property in 96. We built on it. Probably we didn't move into it till probably 98. And then, no, it might be 97. And then by 99, we moved out, moved to Sisters. So we were in the house in the woods maybe 2 years tops.
Hey, you guys are talking too fast. Give me a second to catch up. Damn.
Maybe even more like a year and a half.
Oh boy, yes. It was 97 that we moved in, because I remember another very core memory is looking at our spot in the house in the woods from the trailer house for the very last time and being like, well, I guess we're weaving this trailer. I guess that's a Scout impression. We're weaving this trailer behind and moving to the house in the woods. But I remember being in the driveway and seeing the house and then looking over at the spot in the woods and being like, here we go. And it was near my 7th birthday. Now, Scout, do you remember, Kenzie, you might remember this too, when you guys had Barbie Club and me and David Joel had Alien Club? We had a clubhouse in the driveway next to the old Datsuns that were parked out there. And then you guys had Barbie Club, and Dad was our only real member, and he would go between the two. I remember he brought me and David Joel Oreo cookies to our Alien Club meeting. I can't remember what we talked about. I think maybe Dad told us an alien story, but that's all I really remember from Alien Club.
I have zero memory of Barbie Club. Sorry. You know what I do remember though, Blake? This memory is for you. Okay, so we are walking in the woods and I have the giant plastic orange bat, right? And we're walking along and there was this tree branch. So it was sort of this big log tree branch hanging over the path that looked really impressive and sturdy, but I happened to know from earlier that day that it was sort of just hanging by a thread, and so I hit it with the bat and it came crashing down, and you were super impressed and you were like, whoa, Scout, you're really strong. And I was like, yes, thank you, I am really strong, but I wasn't. I was lying.
So was this on the path that went to the Blue Fort?
No, it was in that area that was along that little creek. You know where there's like bamboo growing back there? It was like back in that area.
Okay, I remember that area you're talking about. I don't remember that story, but I remember it was like a weird bamboo-ish looking thing, and if you peeled the bark on it, it smelled like watermelon, and me and CJ always used to call it the watermelon tree. But I can't believe you don't remember Barbie Club. You remember we used to have this old VHS tape that was like a trip to Barbie Land or something like that. And it would play, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Might have been like an Orlando Studios tape tour or something, but you and Jesse always used to vibe out to that. And for Barbie Club, you guys would just watch that and watch the intro and dance. And Dad would come and hang out with you guys. But yeah, so many great memories of that place. Dang.
Okay, the Barbie Girl song. It was by a German band called Ram something. And it's on an old archive in all of my many zip-up notebooks of data DVDs. Oh gosh, what was it? It was Ram something was the name of the band that did Barbie World, and they were German, and they were brutal. That's funny. And after I had said that earlier thing about asking if, Scout, your memory of beating the branch with the fat bat, because that's what it was a fat bat, if it was on the path to the Blue Fort, the second place in the back of my head was in the bamboo area. So yes, it was actually bamboo back there that was growing wild. So you were not crazy. That's what that was.
No. The band is Rammstein, and they did a cover of it. The original is by a band called Aqua from the 90s, who did the original I'm a Barbie Girl, and then Rammstein covered it later. But that was really bamboo? Why the hell did we have bamboo back there? That doesn't make any sense to me. Is that even native to that area, or how the did it get there?
While bamboo is not native, the Portland area, particularly the valley, is a very fertile growing place for bamboo, and it can grow wild. In fact, it will even take over. And so people in Portland need to be careful, and have learned to be careful with growing bamboo, because it will go crazy there.
The people whose house that I had run the pot at, they actually have a horrible bamboo problem because their neighbor planted bamboo and now it grows in their yard, and it's just like the mom's like, yeah, you guys can like break and use as much bamboo as you want, kids, go crazy on it. And there's this little old Asian lady who comes by with a machete in the spring and collects the bamboo shoots. But there is one bamboo plant that's growing by the house, and it grows so fast. I kid you not, it's grown like 6 inches this week. It's insane. Okay, wait, other memory though. On the path to the Blue Fort, there was like this little area of like dirt, and every time Dad and I would like walk down to the Blue Fort, I would tell Dad, we should put a pool in here. And he'd be like, that's a great idea. But it was like this weird routine. We'd be walking to the Blue Fort and I go, we should put a pool here. He'd be like, that's a good idea. I don't know. I just pictured an in-ground pool at that point on the path to the Blue Fort. I don't actually remember what the Blue Fort looked like though. Isn't that sad?
Okay, that's funny now that you mentioned bamboo. I remember do you guys remember going sledding at Mount Hood? I think at the Bunny Hill or something. Well, it was by the woods, and I remember there being bamboo there, and I remember being super weirded out by that they had bamboo. But okay, it makes sense now. But Scout, I remember the path to the Blue Fort. I think I kind of remember the spot you were talking about, but that was the same spot. Well, for one, whenever I hear that phrase, if a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it, blah, 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 does it make a sound? I always think of that spot in my head for some reason. Because I think there was a downed tree near there too. But do you remember Beth, the babysitter? We had this like redheaded babysitter named Beth. And I remember being with her along the path to the Blue Fort. And she like said she found this bullet there, and she like showed it to me, and then she made it into a necklace or something, and I always thought it was really cool, but I think she tricked me. I think she had a bullet necklace, like a lead bullet on a necklace, and then showed it to me and said she found it. But I always remember wanting this necklace. That girl was weird. Do you guys remember her?
I 100% remember Beth, and I remember her as my favorite babysitter because she made me a beaded lizard. But I also remember this time, which it wasn't funny to me until years later, like years later. But we're just hanging out with Beth in like that front room. We were like playing dress up or something, and then I got like a weird question in my head, and I said, "Hey, Beth, when babies are born, where do they come out?" And Beth got like big eyes, and she looks at me, and then she goes, "They just, they go, whoop." And for some reason, that like answer was enough to satisfy me, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then Beth just got like real quiet and like, so yeah, of course I remember Beth.
Okay, that's funny. Speaking of babysitters, though, I remember one time Leah Bull was babysitting us. And Scout, me and you had this thing that we used to do when we were kids. And we would have ice cream in a bowl, and we would take our spoons and we would chop it up so there was more of it, more ice cream, because we thought that, the more pieces of ice cream you made, if you chopped it apart, the more ice cream there was, which of course wasn't the case. And I remember you were doing that, and you were telling Leah that, I'm making more ice cream, and Leah like shut you down, and she's like, "No, you can't do that. It's not how it works." And then I remember taking her like into the hallway and being like, "You can't tell her that, Leah. You just say you were kidding or something. She still believes it makes more ice cream." Like I was trying to protect you because I didn't want you to like lose like that joy that you weren't making more ice cream. I doubt you remember that, but that is a memory I have of another babysitter. And I remember the beaded lizards. As soon as you said beads, I totally remember making those little bead projects with her, like all the fucking time.
I'm so sorry, Blake. I know that I wasn't making more ice cream. I was being silly. I know it doesn't make more ice cream, it just mushes it apart. But I do remember Leah shutting me down. I also remember our babysitter, Daisha, how for some reason we like hated her. Like we would like always run away from the babysitter, and yet we always had such a good time with her. Like she was super fun to be with. But I remember there was down at the end of the driveway by the pond, there was like a blackberry bush, and we hid in there occasionally a couple times when Daisha would come to babysit. But then we would eventually come out, and she'd like swing us around, and we'd have a great time. Daisha.
See, I remember Daisha. I don't remember not liking Daisha. Faye was the one I remember not liking. Faye, if you remember her. I can't remember her actually. I don't have an actual memory of her babysitting us. I just remember not liking her. And I remember like going to her house once when Mom was like picking her up or something. She lived kind of down by the Bulls, I think, I want to say. Where are Mom and Dad getting these weird girls from to look after their children? And Mom, who was babysitting us when the tree crashed on the house that one night? I think it was New Year's. You remember the big tree? Or it didn't crash on the house. Sorry, it fell away from the house, but could have crushed the house. Right behind your guys' room. I remember that being a big deal. And for some reason, the word tuna fish is associated in my head with that memory. I have no idea why, though. But it's core memories.
I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have not listened to the past 28 Marco Polos, and honestly, I don't plan to. It's too much.
Okay, Beth. The time when you asked about where babies come from, I remember driving Beth home, and she told me that you asked that and how she explained it, and I just thought it was too precious. Daisha was insane. She grew up later on to be a porn star. I didn't know that when you were kids. She seemed like she was okay, but whatever.
Send me the link.
No. So Faye lived across the street from Leah Bull, and They sometimes would team babysit, and sometimes we would switch off. I was not impressed with either one of them, neither Faye nor Leah. And not even Daisha. Of all that whole crew, probably Beth was the best because she brought her own crafts, like, making beaded lizards, and her whole goal, Beth's whole goal in life, was to graduate from high school and not go to college, but just simply get married and start pumping out babies. So, she was all over the whole kid thing.
Well, I hope that worked out for Beth. I remember liking Faye, though, because Faye was always down to play dress up. I do remember the night that the power went out, Blake, which is the night I think you're referring to, and it was a team babysitting of Leah and Faye, and they drove us down to the Calhouns' house, I believe is what happened, because I don't know why. I don't know why, but anyway, they ended up taking us down there.
Okay, Scout is right, and here's how that went. It was a New Year's Eve, and Daddy and I had not had a New Year's Eve out together for eternity. So we went to the Crystal Ballroom, and Faye and Leah were team babysitting you, but we had a hellacious windstorm, and trees went down and the power went out. And so Leah and or Faye also had the Calhoun's number to call for emergency purposes, so they did. So Uncle Dave came down and got you, all of you, and took you down to their house. In the meantime, Auntie Carla was calling the Crystal Ballroom, going, "Hey, there's this couple there. The man is bald, the woman has black hair. They're kind of a striking couple. Can you have them please call us?" This was in the days before cell phones. And so, which we did, and we heard that all of the stuff had ensued, and so we stopped our first real time of having a couple's date, and we came home. And we got up the next day to discover that in the windstorm a tree had blown over and had partially crushed the roof of what was Scout's bedroom at the time.
And that interrupted date is the reason that you guys got divorced later. No, but you know what's interesting is, that tree did almost crush my room, and then a few years later, my room catches on fire, and it's kind of like somebody wants me dead.
Okay, well, here's a reflection on that. When I was pregnant with Blake, 9 months into my pregnancy, we had a freak accident that would have threatened his life, me losing him. Okay? That was when I crushed my ankle in that accident. Then, here comes Scout, and in my 9th month with Scout, we get hit head on by some dumbass girl in a Mustang. Blake breaks his collarbone, I crush my face, and almost lose Scout. Fast forward to pregnancy with Mackenzie. My OBGYN said, "Okay, you're in your 3rd trimester. I now forbid you to drive." Ha 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 ha, says I. So we're going to Colin's birthday party, and we're driving down the highway. It's on 224 between Rick's Farms and Clackamas. And we're going down the highway, and there was a stoplight, and oncoming traffic, there was a truck, and he didn't see that even though the light was green, the traffic had not started moving, and he was going too fast, and he swerved, and he hit the brakes, and he flipped upside down and flew over our car upside down, and we all went, and he landed upside down on the car behind me. So when you say, yeah, it's like someone was trying to kill you, someone, quote unquote, has always been trying to kill you. Ever since before you were fucking born. I don't know who any of you people will become, but I already have faith in who you are. And yeah, fuck Satan for trying to take your ass out, because God always intervened. And that's all I'm gonna say about that shit.
I thought that was going to go in a different direction. Her mom's like, someone has always been trying to kill you. Your mother. With her crazy pregnancy driving.
Hey, you know what? Just so you know, none of those accidents were my fault. Just saying, my dude. And because of those accidents, and they weren't my fault, I did receive a shit ton of money, and that's what did buy our first house, and consequently our second house.
But who lit our house on fire and tried to chop a tree down on me? And where's my money from that?
Yeah, see, I thought Mom was going to say it's Ivan from that movie me and Andrew made. Because that was the premise of that. He was coming to kill the kids. Yeah, crazy shit. I had something to add. Tits. House. I'll come back to it.
Your money from that is in that you got to continue living in the house free of charge. And also, so much of your shit was replaced. And who do you think was trying to destroy you? I mean, let's just have a biblical moment here. God, I can't speak. I'm so tired. You know, when all those accidents happened and stuff, I remember thinking, who are these people? Who are my kids going to be that the enemy of God would fight so hard to try to destroy them? Who is it that they become? Who is it that they are? What is built into them by God alone that causes them to piss off the enemy so much? And it has always given me a great amount of joy.
They become depressed.
You are such a fucking dummy. And yet, that is really funny. And yet, you fucking know you are so much more than that.
You guys want to see something fucking terrifying? That's